Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're embarking on a journey into the mind of Ray Kurzweil, a renowned futurist, as we unpack his latest work. The Singularity Is Nearer. This book revisits and expands upon his earlier predictions about the technological singularity, a point in time when technological growth becomes so rapid and profound that it fundamentally alters human civilization. Kurzweil frames the entire history of the universe as an evolution of information processing, divided into 6 epochs. Let's briefly touch on these epochs, as the book does, to set the stage for the coming singularity. Epoch 1 began with the birth of physics and chemistry, where atoms formed and the fundamental laws of nature emerged. The book emphasizes the improbable precision of physical constants that allow for complex chemistry and the universe to encode information at all. Epoch 2 saw the emergence of life itself, with molecules becoming capable of self-replication and encoding genetic information in DNA. Epoch 3 marks the development of brains in animals, enabling them to store and process information in new ways. Epoch 4 is the epoch of humans, characterized by advanced cognition and the creation of technology to augment our brains. We're currently in this epoch, but rapidly approaching the next. Epoch 5 envisions the merging of biological and non-biological intelligence through brain-computer interfaces, exponentially expanding our cognitive capacity. Epoch 6 is a more distant future where our intelligence permeates the universe, organizing matter into computational structures. At the heart of Kurzweil's vision is the concept of reinventing intelligence, which means transitioning from biological brains to a more powerful, digitally based intelligence. The question then becomes, how do we get there? The book examines the history of AI, contrasting 2 major approaches: symbolic AI and connectionism. Symbolic AI involves programming explicit rules for computers to follow, mimicking the way human experts solve problems. While symbolic AI can be effective in specific domains, it struggles with complexity and real-world ambiguity. The book notes how symbolic AI is limited by the complexity ceiling. Connectionism, on the other hand, uses networks of artificial neurons inspired by the brain, learning from data, and recognizing patterns without explicit programming. The connectionist approach has become increasingly successful due to advances in computing power and the availability of large datasets. The key to achieving human-level AI, Kurzweil argues, lies in replicating the structure and function of the human neocortex, the brain region responsible for higher-level cognition. The book emphasizes that the cerebellum, while important for motor skills and reflexes, is more rigid in its structure compared to the neocortex. The neocortex, with its hierarchical organization of modules called mini-columns, is capable of flexible learning, abstraction, and analogical thinking. Drawing inspiration from the neocortex, deep learning algorithms, which utilize multiple layers of artificial neural networks, have achieved remarkable progress in areas like image recognition, natural language processing, and game playing. To illustrate the power of deep learning, the book cites AlphaGo, MuZero, and other AI systems that have surpassed human experts in complex games. AlphaGo Zero, for example, learned to play Go at a superhuman level without any human knowledge, demonstrating the ability of AI to learn from first principles. MuZero extended this capability to other games and even mastered them without being explicitly given the rules. In addition to mastering games, AI is also making rapid progress in language understanding. Transformers, a type of deep learning model, have achieved impressive results in natural language processing by focusing their computational power on the most relevant parts of the input data. Large language models, like GPT-3, LayMDA, and PaLM, have demonstrated the ability to generate coherent and creative text, translate languages, and answer questions in a seemingly intelligent way. The book details how models with over 100 billion parameters have unlocked major breakthroughs in AI's command of language. The book cites examples like how GPT-3 was able to respond to a passage from philosopher John Searle's famous Chinese room argument. Multimodal models like DALL-E can connect words and images, generating novel illustrations from text descriptions. The book highlights the advances that Palm and GPT-4 brought to the area of humor and inferential reasoning. Despite these advances, AI still has limitations, particularly in contextual memory, common sense reasoning, and social understanding. However, Kurzweil expresses optimism that these gaps will be closed in the coming years, driven by exponential progress in computing power, data availability, and algorithmic innovation. This leads to the discussion of I.J. Good's vision of an intelligence explosion, where AI becomes capable of self-improvement, leading to rapid and unpredictable progress. A key milestone in the journey toward human-level AI is passing the Turing test. The book reviews the history of the Turing test and discusses the challenges of creating an AI that can convincingly imitate a human in conversation. Ultimately, Kurzweil argues that AI will need to dumb itself down to pass the Turing test, as its superior knowledge and abilities would otherwise give it away. Furthermore, the book stresses that passing the Turing test does not mean that AI has achieved true understanding or consciousness. To go beyond human limitations, Kurzweil envisions a future where brain-computer interfaces allow us to directly connect our neocortex to the cloud. This would involve using nanobots to create millions of connections between our brains and external computing resources, vastly expanding our cognitive capacity. By connecting to the cloud, we would gain access to vast amounts of information and be able to think in ways that are currently unimaginable. The book addresses the ethical concerns surrounding BCI technology. The technological advancements raise profound questions about consciousness, identity, and free will. The book defines consciousness as the ability to have subjective experiences and explores the philosophical problem of qualia, the qualitative feel of these experiences. While science can study the functional aspects of consciousness, the subjective dimension remains a mystery. The book introduces the idea of philosophical zombies, hypothetical beings that are indistinguishable from conscious humans but lack subjective experience. Ultimately, the book adopts a view similar to panpsychism, suggesting that consciousness may be a fundamental property of the universe that is awakened by complex information processing. Another important consideration when discussing consciousness and thought is our sense of free will. The book emphasizes that our legal and ethical systems rest on the idea that people have free will, a concept that's difficult to define precisely. The book raises the question, if the universe is deterministic, how can our will be free in any meaningful sense? Yet the book also notes that if free will just means that your actions can be boiled down to totally random processes at the quantum level, this leaves no room for what most of us would recognize as truly free will. The book synthesizes the ideas of determinism and indeterminism, drawing on the work of Stephen Wolfram, who has studied cellular automata and found that some can reach a level of complexity where future states cannot be summarized, predicted, or captured without performing all the intermediate iterations. The complexity may give rise to consciousness and free will. Furthermore, the book highlights that our brains aren't closed systems. Because brains take in input from the outside world, and because they are so complex, as with 11 dimensions, we couldn't run the function of them in a deterministic sense. And thus, our choices cannot be known in advance, even if it seems like they are being predetermined. So there is no contradiction between the two. The book then moves on to the concept of a you-too, someone identical to you and having all the same memories and feelings. Would you too really be you? In the scenario where we make you too as a replica, it is impossible to determine whether the subjective self of you too has some kind of connection with you. However, in the scenario where we gradually shift the information in your brain onto a non-biological substrate, we have much stronger reason to believe that your subjective consciousness would be preserved, Our own cells undergo a very rapid replacement process every day, so in fact, you are a biological version of you too as compared with yourself a little while ago. The book explains that the continuity of our information patterns is what keeps our identity intact. In coming to terms with human identity, it is important to also consider just how unlikely it is that any of us exist at all. The odds of our sperm meeting the egg for us to exist, not to mention all the ancestors that had to exist for us to be where we are, is 1 in a number consisting of a 1 followed by vastly more than a googolplex zeros. The book explains it is also remarkable that the universe came into being with an ability to evolve complex information at all. Our understanding of physics and cosmology demonstrates that if the values in the laws of physics had been only slightly different, the universe would not have been able to support life. Kurzweil explores the potential for afterlife through technology. He introduces the concept of replicants, AI-powered simulations that mimic the personalities and memories of deceased individuals. A first step toward a replicant would be a dadbot, a version of you trained on all your communication in life. He shares a few answers from his own dadbot in the book to show what's possible. These systems wouldn't bring back someone's subjective consciousness, but could ease grief, preserve legacy, and carry on meaningful work. However, he raises important ethical considerations about the rights and treatment of these recreations, considering whether they should have the same legal rights as people. The author lays out what's needed to back up who we are, to transition our skills, personality, and memories to a digital medium, to be able to make multiple copies of that information. These methods will be used to guard against accidents or disease. As these changes happen, though, there are those who question whether people will be able to find meaning in life. There is an opportunity for people to help others and do what matters to us, to give our life purpose beyond earning our daily bread. What gives our life meaning and purpose, though, is relationships and experiences that are not something that is given by a particular set of technology. Moving on from philosophical considerations, the book shifts to a discussion of how technology is transforming various aspects of life. The book points out that we didn't have computers until the 20th century, and today we are close to the possibility of having brain extensions that can make computations millions of times faster. We can't even imagine what we can do with the brain functions that extend far beyond the abstract things, like math or logic or language. In particular, our ability to communicate has increased exponentially, with major advancements every year. The internet gives a wide range of options, from learning different languages to the concepts about the world and existence. The internet is constantly expanding and is available to people on a variety of devices, including mobile devices. The author presents statistics and anecdotes to illustrate the progress being made in various areas. Literacy rates have steadily increased globally, empowering individuals with knowledge and opportunity. Access to sanitation has improved, reducing the spread of disease and improving public health. Life expectancy has dramatically increased due to advances in medicine and healthcare. Poverty rates have declined worldwide, particularly in developing countries. Violence has decreased over the long term, driven by factors like democracy, economic development, and expanding empathy. While acknowledging the challenges and disruptions that may arise, Kurzweil remains optimistic about the future, arguing that technology is a rising tide that lifts all boats. He envisions a future where the cost of basic necessities like food, housing, and energy is drastically reduced, leading to a world of abundance for all. He also discusses the role of augmented reality and virtual reality in creating new experiences and opportunities for personal expression. The benefits from the new technologies are not just for people's personal lives, but also to the environment. Renewable energy is approaching the point of complete replacement of fossil fuels. Three-dimensional printing will revolutionize the creation and distribution of physical things by making decentralized production possible. Vertical farming will provide inexpensive and high-quality food and free up the land we use for horizontal agriculture. The same technologies which provide opportunity also create peril. For example, although he sees a significant number of positives of the changes that happen in society, he does not downplay challenges regarding the negative implications of the world of today. The book emphasizes some potential dangers along the way to technological utopia. The creation of new destabilizing weapons made possible through nuclear weapons and cyber warfare. The development of stealthy, more lethal bioweapons. The potential for self-replicating nanobots to spiral out of control and consume the Earth's biomass. The gray goo scenario. As AI itself reaches and surpasses human capabilities, it will need to be carefully aligned with beneficial purposes and specifically designed to avert accidents and thwart misuse. The book explores the challenges of ensuring that AI remains aligned with human values and does not become a threat to humanity. He mentions 3 categories of peril to avoid: misuse, outer misalignment, and inner misalignment. The book explores the Asilomar AI principles, noting that the military powers are rejecting the use of these guidelines because they would not be able to protect the citizens of their own countries. The book highlights the importance of establishing international norms and ethical guidelines to govern the development and deployment of AI. Despite these perils, Kurzweil remains optimistic that humanity will find ways to manage these risks and harness the transformative potential of technology for the betterment of all. Key takeaways and heuristics from The Singularity Is Nearer. The future is exponential. Technological progress is accelerating at an unprecedented rate, transforming every aspect of our lives. We are reinventing intelligence. AI is rapidly advancing and will soon surpass human capabilities in many domains. Merging with machines, brain-computer interfaces will allow us to enhance our intelligence and expand our consciousness in ways we can't yet imagine. Abundance is within reach. Convergent technologies will make basic necessities like food, housing, and energy readily available to all. Peril and promise. We must address the ethical and societal challenges posed by emerging technologies to ensure a positive future for humanity. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.